G'day, guys and girls, all the way from Australia. We're both from Australia. We've both got kangaroos and koalas in our backyards, but everyone reckons over in America. Had a kangaroo jump down my street the other day, mind you. Yeah, it's amazing. This power of animals. We can talk about that in a minute. Um, want to say thank you to this lovely lady, Dr. Tash, from the part one. What an amazing part one it was, talking about herself and her journey and how she heals. Simple as that. There's so much to it. Chinese medicine expert, I'll call it that way, and such a beautiful human being that she's helped us so much. As I said, if you didn't see part one, basically I met her during the lockdowns, during the times of chaos, and the stuff that she was doing to help people was absolutely amazing. And yeah, I had to have, well, as I said, all my friends said, get her on and get her talking about what she's done. And part one was amazing. Part two is going to be just as good, if not better. So I wanted to start, Dr. Tash, with regards to a friend of mine, Red Horse, he's an Apache Indian healer who lives in Melbourne as well. And I'm honored to have drummed with him on stage. He does all the dances and all those kind of things. So what you were talking about before with regards to music having vibration and frequency, um, I mean, I've firsthand felt it because I was on stage when I was drumming with him, and I've done it many a time. It's like, wow, this is what an experience this is. It's sort of like in a bubble. Um, he does the healing similar with regards to calling guides, calling in spirit, calling in his guides, talking, and also using his hands as a channel from the universe to actually help heal and get rid of, we're talking negative entities and all those kind of things that might be affecting you. And I found myself, I could go within a lot more, and I'm starting to really do some really serious work and understanding myself more, especially when I've walked through the dark forest of the dark night of the soul, which I try to help, especially guys, go through. Um, when you meet some of your clients, especially females, you must feel there's a lot of vulnerability with regards to females coming to see you. Is it probably would that be what's and where I'm going with is the state is what kind of state are they really in? A lot of people in these days, but you probably see so many people, and with what's happening in the world, what's the common state that they're in? Because I know when I saw Red Horse, I was, I'm thinking I'm all this and that, but it was all ego in a lot of ways, but ego protecting that inner child of mine. But he actually helped me in a safe space to release it. How do you feel with regards to the people that come to see you and the state that they're in because of? I'm going to blame society in some ways, but if you get where I'm going.
A lot of fear, so much fear. Women are holding so much stress in their body at the moment because of the way the world is in the state that it's in, the pressure that women have to perform and be something in the world, and
Yep.
then want to have the baby as well on top of that, and time is running out, they're getting too old. So there's all of this pressure, and they're overwhelmed and overburdened. So by the time people come and see me, they've tried a lot of things before they come and see me, and I'm kind of like their last resort. And so it's a real ripping away of what they've learned and what society's told them, what the doctors are saying to them, and making them realize that they're not just a blood report, they're not just this data that says who you are, that you are a being that is capable of so much. And the wisdom that the body holds as well, and its healing abilities is incredible. Even before I had my when I had my spiritual awakening, I used to wear glasses, and I actually healed my own eyesight because every time I would channel, I would have my eyes closed and I would see. And one day I just, after about 3 months after my awakening, I could see. I had no issues with my eyes anymore.
Wow.
So
You
it's,
really,
and
you really, you really let go, didn't you? You really let go. I mean, people say it's an amazing thing, but it does happen. I know myself personally that I wear glasses now and all these, but I feel younger than what I'm turning the big 50 this year. People go, "Are you 30? What are you doing? What are you
yeah,
doing?" But to live in this spirit, as you said, and really, and coming from where I was, and still having that drive. You have that little
yeah.
white light that's always with you. You know what I mean? Then you suddenly the white light becomes this big flame of beautiful positive energy that you can actually come, and then you go through what you were saying, go through the process of the and the journey.
Yeah, because the stress is what, makes you old. Because I'm going to turn 40 this year. Sorry, how old am I? I'm 39, so I'll be
Okay.
turning.
Yeah.
I should forgot. So, and it is, and I've always been told that too. You've always looked 10 years younger than your age. What are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything to my face. I'm not injecting anything in there. For me, it's really the joy of where I'm at in my life, the fact that I don't hold on to things so much like everyone else. It comes with skill. It comes with me doing the work. It's not just it's easy for me. No,
No, it's
I
not.
have to effort. You have to remember that it's a journey, it's a daily thing, it's a constant reflection, it's a constant moving towards peace and bliss and potential. And we hold all of that in that sacred, even rage, there's a sacredness to it. So we don't, it's about not, losing.
It's a primal fear. It's a primal thing, isn't it, Dr. Tash? There's a lot of primal emotions that we're trying to really bottle up, but we're scared to obviously and justify because the ego's involved here, that a lot of those primal emotions that come out, we weren't really taught how to actually express with that that's especially coming from a male perspective. You toxic masculinity, mate. I don't see it. I can't. Yeah, that just gets me upset because I know people in both. I'm one for equality. Believe me. There's just the way that the life's going at the moment, and the way that you can see why there was a feminine movement. They can see now why men are sort of backing off and feeling. Yeah, you can see exactly. As you said, pressure on women. Yep, absolutely. Social media and all this other stuff. How it goes. Men, mate, I can tell you, it's the dark night of the soul, the dark corner of the room for most blokes. Tell you right now, and you know it yourself. I mean, I'd have to. I don't. I'm not. I'm speaking to one of the experts as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, it's been great because there's been more of a movement towards men. Like I'm treating a lot more men now than what I
Yep.
did 8 years ago, being
Mm.
and now I'm also working with an Aboriginal company as well, where we're working with
Awesome.
corporate
Oh,
and
great.
we're working with men and women who, to do these types of workshops and bridge the native plants and teaching about how that moves through the body to then these circles where we can actually have the chanting and the singing and the light language with the Aboriginal music. So I'm bridging
Wow.
that in its own medicine with the land. And I've realized I'm going to be doing more land work now as well, because a lot of the retreats or things that I've attended as a facilitator, I'm always sort of not just helping the people in the retreat, but I'm always healing the land. I'm always removing all the bodies and all the people.
Are these people, are these like when you say this, are these like in Victoria, or are you talking about the traditional lands back as I say, I might be naive to so excuse me for being naive, but um talk about the sacred rock near Ayers Rock and those traditional land, the traditional land around there. Is that where you're sort of looking at, or do you? In WA, well, in WA, there's a huge amount, especially down Fremantle, down south.
It's mainly in Victoria at the moment, but with the corporate work, it'll be all around Australia.
Right.
So it's really like bridging all of that. But it's just more that now I think I've been asked to actually go, a doctor actually who I've cleansed his house before. So sometimes I'll do house clearings or
Yep.
when there's,
Sweet.
yeah.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, cool. They're great.
Now I've been asked to go and clear 30 acres of land. Uh,
Wow. Really? Wow.
yeah.
Is this sacred? Is this sacred land, Dr. Tash, or is this
Some of it is, and some of it's like pretty, like, because there was the bushfires and everything like that. So the land is full on. And I think the doctor knows, he's like, there's just something not right here. And
okay?
he knows I'm supposed to come in. And there's a lot of beautiful people doing this type of work, but sometimes with a lot of the heavy stuff, with my constitution, because of what I do, there's a lot of power in it, and this is not from ego, but there's a strength in it. Like when people hear me speak light language, they get blown away because it's a very strong primal tribal voice. So for me, I feel I've been male many times in past lives, because it's at that level of that warrior energy. So even when I treat men, they'll say to me, oh my God, where did that voice come out of? Because it felt like a warrior woman. And so I feel like when I'm going into these lands, I'm meant to go there because I've got the strength to be able to do this job.
Okay.
And it comes with a lot of integrity with what I'm doing with the land.
Well, you've done
So
that for yourself, though. I mean, look at the person you become. You've worked on yourself. You've worked on your humility. You worked on your humbleness. I mean, you can see. I mean, even the 40 minutes we've spent together, I could see I'm on the right track of what I'm doing. I've still got a while way to go with what I'm doing, but I've ascended. But just seeing how you've done it and just explaining what you've done is just giving me even more confidence in myself and what I'm doing the right thing with what I've done, and just being and also being accountable for my own actions in regards to learning to, okay, how do I deal with this person and all that. So just simple things, but yeah, it's fantastic.
it's taking full responsibility. So now
Absolutely, it does.
if when we're being triggered, it's like, okay, what is this actually bringing up in me? It's not about them. What am I
Yes.
what do I need to learn? It's looking at it from a different lens. Once you do that, you become more open for growth. But if you're always going to be blaming, 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 I mean, I could have done that my whole life, and I would
Mm.
have. This whole time growing up, I thought I was going to be living on the streets. I didn't know we were living commission housing. My mum had $50, food stamps for three kids. So I've come from a place where not much I would have amounted to. And I was known as like the bitch of the school. So I was angry, I was violent. So
Mm.
I've done 360. And that's only come because I've listened to that little voice inside me pushing me on. There's always that little voice within us that's trying to tell us something. But are we
That's that
really
little white light that I was talking about before, that little white light that's in there. I mean, for the stuff that you went through, and I've gone through a fair bit. You think, I always say to myself, God, I could have been crazy. I shouldn't really be here in some ways. You know what I mean? But there's obviously that drive and that spirit and that white light that's around us to take us to the next level of superheroes that we are.
Yeah. So that's what I'm always trying to teach people, that they have that I'm no higher than them. I'm in equality to them. And it's just that I'm returning you back to what you already know. You've
Mm.
just gone out from that. So it's just that rediscovering of who you are and ripping off all the layers of what society's given us. But the main thing is, with everything that we're doing, is just that returning back to the earth, really realizing that we're so deeply connected to the earth, to the elements, to nature, to everything. And it's
Yes.
everything inside our house is connected to nature. All the beautiful scenery, every time we walk on the body of the earth, we're rooting and grounding to her. So how much are we really remembering that? How much are we connecting in that deep deep way of like earthing and love and connection? So I think a lot of people are missing the point. And I think when we went through COVID, a lot of people realized how important it was to be outside, to go for that walk and that connection to the
That's an
land.
awareness, though, Dr. Tash. Like that's an awareness that we all got. I think. I mean, we all, I mean, especially being aware of where we were at, being in that alone time. I always talk to people about being alone and then being within myself to actually find exactly what the hell's going on with myself, and those challenges that I was in, as I said, working with the shadow with what I do, the dark night of the soul, which is what, really got me to where I am now, really going and understanding it as a male and what I went through and understanding that process, so and having and that's what and creating a safe space so others can do it. It's very interesting the way what you say.
Yeah. Solitude is probably one of my most important things in my life. And a lot of people will either understand it or not understand it when it comes to who I am as a human being, because a lot of people don't like being on their own, or they think there's something wrong. Why do you want to be away from everyone? But
Hmm.
actually, when you receive energy, people forget that when you're meditating, it's not just clearing my mind. I receive energy from source. So this is me returning home. I return home to myself. I return home to my little inner child, my little girl. And that is who I am. All of this other stuff is fluffy and magical and amazing, but really, when we can go into solitude and be really happy in our own company and really see ourselves in that love and showing ourselves that acceptance, non-judgment, then we really get to heal here. And I feel like a lot of the time people don't want to sit still. People want to be busy seeing people doing, 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 and they're not actually sitting still. And sitting still does not mean watching TV and watching Netflix and,
Yeah,
even
yeah, yeah. Well, hey, there's look,
even
there's time. Look, there's time. Well, I don't. I mean, with where I'm at, with connecting I get messages from everywhere, Dr. Tash, like everything, like even simply a movie called Cocktail. I wrote a 3-page summary of all the messages I got from it.
Wow.
So that's where I'm at. Like I get messages from everywhere, even understanding that I do like the cosplaying side of things. You probably see me dressed as Robin from Batman.
Yeah.
I go out, I've been doing it for years, going out and doing charity work for, dressing up as superheroes and, the energy that I give and the love that we give within each other to give to someone else, to give them a bit of hope, a bit of happiness. So even I've been drawn to do things and yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what we do and the things that, might not work for you, but work for you might be different to me, but you have to have an awareness and exactly what you've been talking about.
Yeah, definitely. Just that trust and that, and for a lot of people, sometimes they don't even know what path they're on. And so for me,
Yes, yes, that's right.
don't know what they want to do with their life and all those things. And so when they've actually, for women, when they actually return back to the womb, there's a level of their creative life force is harnessed again. And it really works on so many levels. When we think about the sacral chakra, we're really working on what do we want for our life in relationships, in partnerships, in our work, in our career, home life, everything. So once we actually clean out this area of the womb, once we can actually bring the energy up in that area, then all of that muffleness can be cleared so that we can
Mm.
have greater clarity, greater vision. And for me, what's happened is as we awaken the sacral energy, as we awaken the womb, then the energy can rise up into the throat. It can rise up from the heart down to the sacral and then back up into the throat, which is the power center. This is the center of, in Hinduism, my background is Hindu,
Yep.
is Shiva.
Oh, Shiva.
Right?
Yeah, yeah, yep.
And
Heard of the god. Yep.
yeah, and Shiva was all about this is why Shiva is blue. Some of these beings are blue because it's the throat, it's the throat chakra emanating. And the throat chakra is not really an area that is really harnessed in its full power because even yoga doesn't really, it opens it to a certain level, but not fully. Because once we open this area, we're moving to an area where you're going to see just as much dark as good. It becomes equal. So you're opening the portal to everything to come in.
What about the third
So
eye there? What about the third eye though, Dr. Tash? Because I know when I did a 3-day meditation on opening up my third eye properly up through my shadow work, and it just changed my life on so many levels. It was one of those big kabam movements, like copping one from Batman, saying right out, wake up, and yeah, it's just like energy change, my getting more visions, understanding myself more often. So, what's the relationship do you think between what you're saying with the throat? Because I'm asthmatic too, so I know exactly. You probably even pick it up on me. I used to play in characters. I used to hide myself. I never used to talk too much. I could tell already, and I'm starting to come out of that. But because of the third eye, what's the relationship between the third eye and the throat in that way?
So the third eye is something that so many people are opening up anyway, right? So
Yep,
it's one that we really concentrate on when we think about the pituitary gland, decalcification,
yep,
working on that area. We're always moving to the third eye. And obviously, we've got to get to a level to really open it fully. But the throat is something that's a little bit lost. People don't really understand its full power yet. And this area is very powerful because we say in Hinduism that, Shiva could drink poison and stop it right here from even entering the body. So when
wow,
we get
really?
that powerful, that's the level of intensity that we can move towards. And it's the same with people saying bad things about us. It cannot even affect our own field because our throat chakra, our power is really strong. And if you think about this area, it's sound, right? So it's our speech, it's vibration, it's the om. It is vibrational sounds, and that is everything. It is the vibration of the universe. So the throat chakra is really, really powerful. And for me, it's been very interesting because maybe really since October last year, I was getting dreams about the serpent around the snake, and I'm very connected to snakes as well, around the Kundalini and the dragons, and some of the things that I see around the womb and around
Yep,
the chakra.
yep,
And it was very interesting because last year I was being shown you're getting prepared to take your throat to the next level of this work. And I actually saw in an image that I'm supposed to move even my logo on my website to a throat chakra. And I was like, well, that's just weird because I'm all about the sacral. I'm all about fertility. And why am I moving towards the throat? And so it started coming into alignment for me where I started to understand, okay, I'm ready
When did
to
you have
open
that?
up.
When did you have that there, Dr. Tash? Sorry, when did you have that revelation? Can I ask?
It was about October last year.
So
So
about
yeah,
Halloween. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that. Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt there. I just thought I was just trying to get dates there because everything's there's certain things that line up with what
yeah.
I'm just thinking what happened to me at certain times. Yeah. So yeah, sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
I feel like it happened in October because what I was being shown is the dark. And so, with a lot of the stuff that I do remove entities, spirits, things off kids, even
Yep.
people who've been vaccinated. Like even when children have been vaccinated, their parents will usually come and bring them to me that same day to do a healing on them. Because
Wow.
when I've done this work, I've actually got footage which is even more scary. But when a child has come to me and she was just videoing him, right? Because she's had so many sessions with me before, but she just decided to video this particular one where he'd been vaccinated that day. And later on that night, she actually sent me the video and she said, "Oh my God, you have to listen to this." And I'm like, okay. And in the video, it was a complete different entity in the video. It was it was very, very demonic.
Wow.
And I was connecting to it, it was because what was being planted into these children through the vaccination is very dark energy. And you could almost say it's like demonic, right? That demon energy, and it's moving into that blood level. So that's what I'm pulling out of the child. So as soon as I do that on kids, within 10 minutes, you see their light return back into their face. Like this child is so spiritual and he's only like 1.5 years old. And he'll go to my crystals and sit there with all the crystals and talk to them and stuff. And this is what he's doing straight after these healings.
That's just child. I've noticed that what we always hear. I mean, for so long that we should go back to that being a freedom, the child being as a child and being free. You know, just doing what we have to do. Is that resonate with you? That what I'm.
Yeah, 100%. It's that inner child, but also the children that are being born now are highly awakened. So they're very awake. They know what's going on, and that you don't have to sugarcoat anything. You can go straight to the root, and so they just get it. I don't have
Yep.
to explain anything.
Yep.
They know through the steps. They know what love is.
Absolutely. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. We lost it. We lost a little bit of we've sort of lost ourselves away. I can see what you're saying because you go into a point where you know the when you have your awakening process, you sort of look back on a lot of your life and where you sort of had that, and then you sort of where you got sort of off track a little bit, but you sort of weren't off track. You sort of just went with the flow of what you're doing, but there's a lot more to it with your journey and your lessons and your shadow work and the universe, as we know, the universe gives you the lesson until you learn it, and then when you learn it, tick it off. The journey goes, keep going, keep down that yellow brick road.
And look, when we think about the journey, I always say to people that the journey is a spiral. You know, it's the womb. It's a spiral. So you'll
Okay.
come back to this position again. So sometimes patients will go, "I've done this. Why have I come back here? It's a year later and the same thing's happening." I'm like, "Well, no, it's not the same thing. It's you're coming to a new level of understanding about that same thing." And you have grown over that whole year. So your level of perception has changed as well. There's a new level of understanding, a new level of healing that's coming through from that same thing that you thought it was. So you're always going to return back to these lessons. They're never like fully gone from our life,
No, that's
right?
right.
Sometimes they're always going to be there. So it's not that someone is healed, they're always healing. We have to let go of this, I have to be this, I have to be that, I have to fix this and that. It's just, no. Because as you become more and more spiritual, you actually don't care about it anymore. Like I'm moving into a place where now I think I don't care so much about striving as I did before. It's just coming into the understanding of actually the simple life is more powerful than anything else.
Oh,
Whereas before,
it's so easy, isn't it? It's like it's so easy, isn't it?
I just don't care anymore, to be honest. It's not that I don't care, it just doesn't affect me in the same way.
That's the
For
word
me,
you're looking at. Yeah.
it's just, for me, I just want peace. I want bliss. I just don't have time to fight, to do things that don't nourish my soul, to hang around people. I mean, my friendship circles are getting smaller and smaller because that's actually all I need. I don't need so many people. Actually, you just need some really good friends, and that's it, and that's enough. So,
How do you go in society? Sorry to cut you off there. How do you go in, we're talking about it, how do you go in society, Dr. Tash? Like sometimes, I mean, obviously I'm in the rock band scene, you know, the music scene, and I've got some beautiful friends, trust me. I've really been blessed with the people that just blessed with the people that are around me. But yeah, how do you feel a bit of, I wouldn't say it's social anxiety, but do you feel a bit of being like, oh, I don't really need to be in society as such, if you get where I'm going? Just sort of withdrawing a little bit, or do you sort of enhance, you get out there even more with how you're feeling?
Balance. The balance is key. So there's going to be moments where I just want to be in solitude, and there's moments where I'll go dance. My background's a hip hop dancer, so I'll go do that. It doesn't affect my energetic field anymore. I think some people can get very sensitive and they're not rooted and grounded in their energy with that higher form of protection, where
Yep.
sometimes they can be very easily. But really, when you move to higher levels of consciousness and energy, you should be able to stand anywhere in the world, even if there's war going on, and still be able to harness your energy in peace and stay focused in that energy. So that's where you can learn how much you're growing in your ability to be able to handle certain environments, certain people. Because now I feel like I can be around someone who's completely losing their mind and it doesn't phase me. It
Okay.
doesn't affect my energy. I can still be rooted and grounded in myself,
That's
right?
awesome.
So
That's amazing.
yeah, and it's not going to happen all the time, but it's definitely, I feel in the last 6 months, my ability to do that has gone to the next level. So I know that I've gone through another level of spiritual upgrade for whatever purpose it's taken me to, for wherever I'm going. I just trust the process. I don't have any fixed things that I need to do. I just trust and flow of what needs to come through and what needs to come up for me to just go with that. But I definitely think, yeah, the throat chakra is being symbolically something that is definitely growing, and I can really feel that projection of the sacral and the throat opening now for women as well.
Yep.
And it's that remembrance that the throat is connected to the womb, so that you open the throat, you open the womb, it descends
Oh,
and opens
really?
that.
And how do you get that with, how does that come about? Is there any particular what's the connection between the throat and the womb in that way?
If you haven't actually look at the throat, even just the whole structure of the larynx to the jaw, that's all connected to the hips, to the uterus, to the cervix, the
Now
tongue
that you
as
look
well.
at it, it makes total sense. That
Yeah,
makes
it's
total sense. Yeah. Sweet.
so tight jaw means tight hips, and vice versa.
Yep.
We can actually release the jaw, we can release the hips. When we release the hips, we release the jaw. So it's this connection. And actually, these two areas were connected even in utero, in the first couple of weeks of utero, the throat and the
All
womb.
right.
Yeah, so there's this deep connection here. And even when we think about sound, we're making love, or when we're trying to give birth, women create sound. Right? And that
Yeah.
actually helps the women to send the baby down. It's very hard to just not make any sound.
Hmm.
So there's a beautiful correlation in this area. That's why women are now starting to express more. Women are switching on. They're really standing up for their rights. And that's because the womb energy, the feminine energy is rising. It's the womb consciousness that's rising. It's this connectedness. It's this interweaving web where we understand now the menstrual cycle, how important it is. More people are talking about it. They're talking about it like seasons. Women are starting to talk about it with their personal trainers. Why is that? It's because the womb energy is growing. It's that collaboration, it's that connection, and understanding that even when women all bleed together, it's this phenomenon that happens, but no one really understands why. And it's because it was always about coming together. It was never about competition. And when we can really educate this for our young girls, they start to honor and look at their bodies in such a different way, in such a loving way. And there's so many different proteins that are found in the menstrual blood that's not found anywhere else in the body.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah, it's right. Sorry, keep going. Sorry, you just dropped out a bit. Sorry about that.
it's just this re-education of for men and women, and how to really get men on board as well, and not feel so grossed out or scared to talk about the menstrual cycle, and actually see it as this holy blood, that no child will be born without this blood. And how can we give that and return that back to the earth, because it makes our plants grow better. So I always make sure, once a month, I'll mix my menstrual blood with water and pour it back to my plants, and they've actually all grown so much
All
better.
right.
And it's returning that back to the land. Yeah, it's this full circle process that we can come to when we honor our bodies in
I've
this
never heard that.
way.
I've never. I've heard about that. It's similar when we talk about the semen retention process with men. Not giving out your seed, and not giving out your power, and understanding what the amount of um the amount of nutrients and stuff with regards inside the semen, and
Mhm.
just the spiritual growth and power that you can get. Not a power of, oh, I'm better, I'm good. It's about this power about yourself, understanding
Mm,
yourself and getting that and giving you and having that pure masculine energy that you got, that pure loving masculine energy that you have. And then
mm,
you can come together with that pure loving female energy. It's such a beautiful thing. It
yeah.
really is. And I think that's what we've all come together. I know for a fact that's what I always think about when you look at the, not the husband and wife time thing. It's not about that. It's about, coming in duality in a lot of ways. I always make I made a funny analogy, Dr. Tash, about the chessboard. And this is where I was telling about people with how well, a lot of the friends of mine, females, they just said there's no good men out there. They're
Mm,
either, taken or, you know, bat for the other side, if you want to put it that way. And I go, listen, and they go, I don't need a man. I go, listen, I go from a man's point of view, and they always look at, they always say to me, you'd be a good catch. I go, well, okay, fine, thank you very much. But the way it is a good man, a really good man, good strong protector, and will always protect his queen. But the queen will always protect the man, because he
mm,
she'll, not the case of serving the purpose, but it's a case they'll help them on their way with their purpose, and and then the king will also protect that female like anything, and make sure she is the best version of herself, and they'll come together. That's how I always believed it. And I think we've
mm,
lost a little bit of that, and always wanted to be the person that you need to be, and they'll be the person they need to be, and come together.
And it's trusting. I don't have any fears around that. I feel that the more I evolve, then it's an energetic match. It's a frequency, it's a magnet. So it
There
will
you
come
go.
to me. A lot
Exactly.
of things that have happened in my
Exactly.
life to me. I've actually never gone searching for it. So there's this deep understanding within myself that if it hasn't happened, I have to get to the next level of my own growth. Because I want to date the same person as me, right? So if we're not living a wholesome life, already in joy of all the different areas of your life, and you're moving into that desperation energy,
Mm.
well, that's what we're throwing out into the universe, right?
Do you think we've got about 5 minutes to go, so I want to ask you about the current situation right now, and the absolute wonderful work you've done. And I always keep going back to that, because as I said to you, I'll never forget what you did during those times. I'll never ever forget. All right, and that's, as I said to you, that's why I've got you on. Where do you think we are definitely? There's a lot more people awakening. Okay, right now we know that, especially with Cortez, myself, have always seen with the male side of things, we see it all the time. They see us as a different thing, a different, well, not a species, but a different aspect of what's happening. We know there's chaos happening, but it's a great time to be awake. How do you feel about that? Do you feel, coming from the feminine side of things and strongly in that way? Do you feel it's slowly, these people, all of us are coming together as a super friends? Do you believe that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. There was a whole shift in energy even 2 days ago with Kali
Yeah,
Durga. So,
in
yeah.
India, I think it was, where it happened. Is that correct?
Yeah, and even it's also called the Thai Pongal as well for the Tamil people of Sri Lanka. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of harvest, sun, beautiful energy that was moving us into that golden age now,
Mm.
and a lot of that karmic bondage is starting to fall away, and we're moving into a frequency where we can really manifest everything for our life this year. We're in a beautiful number 8
Eight. Yeah,
numerology
yeah, that's right.
time. So what are we waiting for? And you're going to see a lot of people being able to move in the world where their status, their power, their money, everything's going to rise, and it's going to show what are we going to do with all that extra fortune? How are we going to treat other people? How are we going to give back? What type of communities can we then create if we're all moving into that abundant energy? So it's going to be a very interesting year ahead for a lot of people. And I think that the more that we go into that self-reflection, the self-discovery, to healing, to balance and living a balanced life, there's, a lot of spiritual people who are not balanced, who are very extreme.
Have a look at
There's a
that one
lot
on
of
net. There's one on Netflix there, Dr. Tash. One of these two guys, this twin flame video I saw, this series. I mean, he was off his nut. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, and then that's the kind of exactly what you're saying. These people take this, oh, we're going to be spiritual and all this and all that, and but don't really. It's all about what I look like, I, which is ego. and not doing the I, and just sitting back like most of us are and just trying to work on ourselves.
And this is why I always say to people, just make sure what you're reading, where you're getting your information, does it really resonate with your core? If it doesn't, let it go. Don't bring that as your, as everything,
Mm.
that's correct, because there's a lot of people talking a lot of stuff, and this is why I don't always go outside of myself to get that information from all these health experts and blah 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 blah, because for me that's not how I want to live my life. I want to know what's going on within my own body, what's actually happening, how can I heal it, and really communicating with my organs. Like, everything is about embodiment. People are not embodying these practices. People are not embodying what's happening when they're learning a certain facilitating training, for example. Everyone's trying to digest it consciously through the mind, but no one's doing that somatic healing. And that's why I think I love what I teach for women, because it's a very body experience.
Yeah.
And once into that body, understanding the body, how do the sensations feel, how do we move these structures, then it takes them to another level of consciousness, another level of understanding who they are.
And you got to do
And
the
that's
work.
where
Yeah, sorry, keep going. Sorry, I dropped out again. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, and yeah, that's exactly what also men need. They need an embodiment practice. And that's why I think sometimes breath work can be really good for them, because they start to have this different type of experience, and then taking them to another level of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, Dr. Tash, we're going to call it a day. We're just about to finish up. Would you like to tell everyone where they can find you on socials, just if they want to ask you a question or send you an email, or have a look at your
Sure.
website?
So I get a lot of inquiries come through Instagram and my website. So my Instagram is Dr_Tharshini. And then my website is also just www.drtashini.com. And so there's a bit of that. It shows all the different things that I do, workshops and things that I may be running. And then if you want to do one-on-one consultation, you can also do that and book that through my website. And we can do that either face-to-face, or we can do it internationally, globally, anywhere.
Fantastic. Well, the information will be down the bottom. We're going to run out of time here, but thank you so much, Dr. Tash, for being involved on a chat with Jay for the 1111 Spiritual Transit podcast. You can find Dr. Tash downstairs on where we've got our information. And I'm just going to say goodbye because we're going to run out of time. I want to say thank you. And Jackie and I always send off by our hero, Brett the Hitman Hart, who always says, but the best there is, best there was, and best there ever will be. Thank you so much. Very blessed to have you on the show, and we'll talk to you soon.